A single tear landed on my face. You're nothing but bones, holding you hurts. The sea is quiet one moment, savage the next, forever indifferent to human sorrow. While the earth sleeps, the ocean keeps its eyes open. Promise you'll eat more from now on, okay? The day the doctors stamped stage 4 pancreatic cancer on my chart, I walked in on my boyfriend rocking the car with my sister. I opened my phone to see the reminder that Gerald's online loans were due again. The dance I loved had already been amputated by a snapped Achilles. I decided to choose myself a decent death. This miserable life of mine was long overdue to be returned. I destroyed every trace of myself, boarded Anderson Express train, and crossed half the country to walk into the tide. Yet 50 meters from the water, security blocked me. Sorry, kid, some boss bought the shoreline. If it's not urgent, come back next week. I'm effing urgent, how could I not be? I'm racing rabid cancer cells. I have to exit pretty before they finish gnawing my body hollow. I refuse to croak, wired to tubes, gray-faced and pitiful. Isn't this a public spot? How can someone privatize it? I swallowed the scream and asked softly. Kid, it's off-season, the highest bidder seals the deal. Security wore a you wouldn't understand smile. A scene from some old soap flashed through my head. A billionaire air drains a fish pond for the girl. I thought it was melodrama, turns out people really do buy beaches. The hobbies of the rich are beyond me. From the second I chose to die, I screened every suicide method. Razor cuts? I faint at blood, if I botched it I'd hang on in agony. Hanging? I don't want to dance midair like a ghost, too scary. Jumping off a roof? Bad for property values, times are tough. Pills? Someone has to scrape me up and buy a plot, too many hassles. In the end, the ocean wins, no body bags, plus a final glimpse of the sea. Seeing the ocean had been my wish since Jordan. But in 25 years I'd been too busy chasing money to grant it. So I dragged this body that spasmed with pain. Rode 5 straight hours on the express train. And arrived at this cove whose photos I'd stalked through 100 blogs. Familiar as if I'd lived here in another life. Sapphire water, velvet sand, the lighthouse rooted in the surf. One look and I knew, my soul could sleep here. Contracted or not, I was getting in. 2. Before dawn I woke on my own. I washed my face, snipped my ID into confetti. Left nothing in my backpack but a debit card, and checked out of the seaside inn. At the gate I spied for ages. Iron sheets fused into a door, a fist-sized lock dangling. The railings beside it squeezed so tight that even my 90 pounds couldn't squeeze through. I circled the entrance like a stray thought. Living is hard, dying the way you want also hard. Grumbling, I spotted it, farthest from the gate, a rail bent high above the sand. I arched backward. Slipped through the gap like smoke. Skills only feel useless until you need to die, my dancer's spine just saved me. Security snored in his booth. I dusted off the sand, barefoot sprinted to the water. Waves tapped the shore, salty wind licked my cheeks. And I couldn't tell whether the brine in my mouth came from the breeze or from tears. Who are you? What are you doing here? A low, cold voice dropped from above. Before I could focus, I spotted security in the distance, stretching, strolling over. I slapped a hand over the man's mouth. Yanked him behind a reef. Keep it down. Some mogul owns this beach, no trespassers. Don't let him see us. I peeked around the rock, whispering fast. Who are you? And why are you here? The voice was icy, detached. I looked up. Black hooded sweatshirt, track pants, tall frame, chiseled face, frosty brows. Blue stubble glinting, basically the blueprint for a rumpled romance cover. I stammered. I snuck in. You? He rubbed his nose. Same. Here to walk into the tide? I blurted. 3. He stared as if I'd slapped him. A spark flickered in those dim eyes. while I wanted to dig myself a 3-story ocean view villa with my toes. First meeting and I ask if he's come to die smooth, Morgan. I patched the crater fast. I meant watch the sea, yeah, watch the sea. To kill the awkward I stuck out my hand. Hi, I'm Morgan. The Morgan from Ginger and Fortune. He hesitated a beat. Then grazed my fingers. I'm Cameron. Nice to meet you. His hand was long, colder than the water. I nodded, silence resettled. I'm used to entertaining myself. So I splashed the foamy cuffs around my ankles. It's deep out there, be careful. He glanced at my submerged feet. I flashed a thumbs up. Security's nearsighted, you've got time. Enjoy. I'm off. See you. He turned away. Rowan, I said to his back. Today already counts as lucky. I broke into the beach I love. And met a hot, kind guy. Even my corpse will feel warm. Humming, I waited toward the sunrise. When the water kissed my knees I remembered. I'd quit the dance studio. Handed my students to a colleague. Visited Grandma and Grandpa at Seabrook. But skipped one last chore. 4. The stray cats I'd secretly fed for years back at the apartment complex would starve. I speed dialed Gerald. Dad, please, there's a big bag of cat kibble in my closet. Give it to the guards, they'll feed Dash. He cut me off, bored. Jinx, quit the saint act. You tortured Casey's kittens back then, now you care about strays? Spare me the drama. The brine in my throat thickened. The year Sophie got into college, Gerald bought her 2 kittens. A golden shaded and a Maine Coon, both adorable. I played with them, they liked me. One day she cradled the balding one, sobbing. Daddy, tell big sister to take it out on me, not my babies, they're only babies, woo-woo. New Year's Eve, while every family ate reunion dumplings. After my father slapped me a few times, he locked me in the storage closet. The beating was because Sophie had told on me. The lock-in was because my face had swollen into a pig's head and ruined the festive mood of their perfect little family. Seems even my breathing was a mistake. Hey, you wretched girl, how long since you sent money? Want your old man to starve? His tone was ice-cold and utterly self-righteous. I pulled myself together. If you didn't gamble, you wouldn't go hungry. From now on I can't look after you, take care of yourself. The man on the other end exploded. With a debt collector like you around, how could I be fine? Without you, your mom would still be alive. Without you, Casey wouldn't have lost her real dad so young. Got any face left to keep living? I'd heard it all since I could remember. My ears were calloused. Still, hearing it just before I died stung a little. 5-inch, yeah, you're right. I hung up and debated asking Sophie to look after the cats. She hates me, true, but she dotes on those cats. As I lifted the phone, the image of Sophie and my boyfriend Chase devouring each other flashed into my head. The SUV rocked gently while they clung together. You're amazing. Morgan's so lucky, big sister. Casey, don't mention her now, you'll kill the mood. I love you, I fell for you the minute we met. Chase nuzzled her, whispering sugar. Sophie melted against him, I want to stay with you forever. Totally lost in each other. They never noticed me standing outside the window. 3 years with that man. The guy who promised me the warmest home on earth. And he ended up Sophie's. No way I could speak to her. I typed a text about the cat kibble. Set it to send to Sophie later. And kept walking into the sea. The morning water was freezing. Soon it lapped over my shoulders. Breathing turned hard. Consciousness leaked away. Then, faintly, someone shouted my name from far off. Morgan. Morgan. Don't you dare sleep, hear me? My cheeks were slapped, loud and sharp. Hurt. But I was too tired to open my eyes. Pulse oxygen defib dash. Chaos buzzed around me. Time stretched endlessly. I opened my eyes to blinding white. Anderson oxygen tube in my nostrils. Machines clamped on both arms. A hospital? Awake? Why wasn't I dead? Too weak to speak, I stared. He answered the question in my eyes, "You're not allowed to die yet." What kind of line was that? I mustered every ounce of strength. What, do you mean, not yet? 6-inch, you left a debit card at the Seaside Inn. Seabrook came looking. Cameron's voice stayed level. I cut in, excited. Yeah, I left a note, donate the money to the local school, no name needed. Why did Seabrook track me down? I'd been crystal clear, even if she pocketed it, no one would know. She saw the footage, feared the worst, and chased you to the beach. Security didn't stop her? I couldn't picture the gatekeeper letting Seabrook rush in. Cameron rubbed his temples. Still waterlogged upstairs? She told security someone was about to off herself. Of course he waved her through. Technically we're all your guardian angels. I studied his face. Still skeptical? I hauled you from the surf, piggybacked you here, and babysat ever since. He looked downright smug. And the hand that slapped my cheeks were also yours? I asked softly. Cameron sprang up. Ellis, that was CPR, you ungrateful brat. I burst out laughing. Kidding, chill, don't pop a vein. Truthfully, I didn't know how to thank them for saving me. But their kindness came without agenda. And those scattered bits of goodwill. Let me glimpse something bright in this world. Alex, the doctor wants you in his office, a nurse called. I'm not Dash. Riley, finish the ride, be a saint to the end, I begged. Cutting Cameron off before the hospital could phone Gerald. I pressed my palms together, pleading. He gave me a long look and left. From daylight to near dusk I waited before he returned. You're back. I lit up. Cameron nodded, eyes dark. 7. My lungs were infected from the near drowning, had knocked me out for days. The doctors must have examined every organ. Cameron sat silent. Paring Anderson apple down to its core before he finally spoke. Morgan, does your family know how sick you are? I don't have a family. That's why I picked a death that needs no grave, no funeral. I sniffed, voice muffled. Cameron didn't even blink at the answer. But the hospital reached your father, he should be on his way. I scoffed. Him? Impossible. They dialed the wrong number, he won't come. Cameron caught my trembling hand. Don't let old disappointment kill new hope. But what if you've been disappointed too many times? I whispered. Then give it one last chance. Then let go and live your life. I knew he was coaxing me to stay alive. Still, I wanted to walk into the tide. A stage 4 pancreatic patient with nothing left to love. I couldn't find a single reason. What's wrong with my girl? Where's the doctor? Get out here. It had to be Anderson accident, my kid wouldn't jump. You can't bully us little people, pay up. Pay up. Gerald's voice arrived before he did. His creed, everything's negotiable, and if you can extort, extort. Fail today, try tomorrow. 8. I lifted a brow at Cameron. See? Nobody knows your own sperm donor like you do. He's never known me. Yet I spent years trying to please him. I knew he once loved Mom. She died of postpartum depression 6 months after I was born. So he hates me. Uncle Vance, Sophie's dad, was his best friend. When our house burned 16 years ago, Uncle Vance died saving me. Hence the double dose of hatred. I kept telling myself I understood. Which room is Morgan in? Dad reached the door. I felt dizzy. Apart from money drop-offs, we hadn't met in ages. He shut the door, paused at my sallow face, then sneered, you look fine to me. Dragged me all this way, what scam now? My mouth opened, nothing came. Watch your mouth, this is a hospital, Cameron said coldly. Who the hell are you? Father-daughter talk, stay out. Dad's fists were already clenched. I sized them up. Dad used to coach taekwondo and sweated for Cameron. A middle-aged doctor appeared like a savior. I'm Morgan's attending, who's asking for me? Dad spun around. Me. How long till discharge? What's the bill? Compensation amount? You're the patient's father? Let's speak in my office. Your daughter's condition is complicated. Dad rolled his eyes. Can't spit it out here? I've no time for this Jinx's illnesses. For once I felt nothing. I simply smiled and said calmly, it's stage 4 pancreatic cancer, terminal. At last, you get your wish, Gerald. Sorry for the trouble, doctor, we're done here. 9. Panic raw and unfamiliar flashed in Gerald's eyes. Gone in Anderson instant, replaced by the usual venom, pancreatic cancer? You think I'm stupid? That's for old people. You're 25, heaven wouldn't waste it on you. Evil weeds live forever, stop faking. Cameron grabbed the chart off the bedside table and slammed it in front of Gerald. Read it. The king of cancer, she's not lying. Dad flicked the papers to the floor, sniffed, and said flatly, fine. Since you're dying, hand over your savings. Plots and funerals cost a fortune these days. Wonder if your little stash even covers it. A cramp knifed through my gut. Electric sharp, freezing me. The pain spread like a razor, slicing every nerve. Tears pooled, my eyes blood red. How can you at a time like this still care only about my money? Dad lounged on the sofa, unbothered. What else? I raised you for the fun of it. You owe me, and you'll pay to the grave. I envied his mental state. Unlucky himself, so he mows down the world. When could I throw a glorious crazy fit? Days left, maybe hours, why not now? Since college I juggled 2 jobs a day. After graduation it was 3 dance classes, milk tea shakes, street flyers, night market stalls. If it was legal, I did it. But you gambled every cent, chasing losses that never end. I worked myself bone dry just to buy a smile from you. What exactly do I owe that you'll drain me even dying? I emptied it all in one breath. And the stabbing in my belly actually eased. 10. Gerald's dirty laundry had been flung onto the lawn. His face flushed crimson, veins popping along his neck. You little brat, talking back? You owe me more than you can count. The words were still airborne when his palm sliced toward my cheek. I shut my eyes on reflex. Hunno sting? I cracked one lid. Gerald's wrist was locked in Cameron's grip, thin bones straining against steely fingers. How useless do you have to be? The only thing you hit is your own daughter? Cameron looked reed slender, but the muscle under that hoodie was cable tight. Gerald yanked twice, couldn't budge Anderson inch. For years I'd tiptoed, desperate to earn a nod, to make Sophie and her mother stop seeing me as excess furniture. Forever the quiet giver, swallowing every insult like bitter pills. Now, with death's calendar open in my hand, the charade felt absurd. You keep saying I'm in debt to you, fine. Who drove Mom into postpartum despair? Who turned our house into a tinderbox? Of course it was you. Without you they'd still be alive. Gerald screamed, spit glittering in the air. Really? I read Mom's diary 2 years ago. She got sick because you were never home, couldn't care less if she smiled or cried. After I was born, Grandma called her worthless, starved her through the confinement month. And Uncle Vance? He ran into the fire because you'd locked me inside for 2 days while you gambled. I was so hungry I lit the stove to boil porridge. The tank hadn't been inspected in years. Boom, flames. I'd spent a lifetime dodging those memories, they tasted like rust and shame. But time scrapes paint off everything, and underneath I saw the truth, I'd been the family scapegoat. Saying it out loud felt like setting down a crate of bricks. Gerald gaped as if I'd sprouted a second head. You're insane, utterly cracked. He slunk away, muttering. I felt like I'd just crossed a finish line carved out of quicksand, every muscle limp. Sorry you had to witness my family's dumpster fire. I gripped the bed rail, trying to push myself up to apologize to Cameron. Don't mention it. Got a front row seat to human biodiversity educational. 11. Mild, matter of fact, Cameron pressed me back onto the mattress. Insult without profanity impressive. Seeing I wasn't going to shatter, he said nothing more, just pulled a debit card from Seabrook out of his pocket. I waved both hands like a traffic cop. Keep it, just pay the hospital for me. Already paid, Avery. He answered as if discussing the weather. I forced a dry laugh. Sorry to trouble you, I'll discharge myself right now. I swung my legs over the side. Cameron's lips twitched. Joking. Relax. Well, that boomerang spun back fast. Still, I refused to burn daylight in Seabrook. 2 days later, while Cameron was off handling business, I quietly settled the bill. Insurance covered most of it, more than half the card's balance remained. I rented a tiny studio overlooking the surf. Time to bank some strength. Walking into the tide takes more muscle than people think. My vacation lasted a handful of lazy days before Sophie showed up. Same old fragile phone routine. Sis, are you okay? I feed the cat every day like you asked. Come home, Mom and Dad are worried sick. When I didn't open the door, she cranked her volume to public announcement level. Casey, Chase proposed last night. Ah, there it was, the knife she'd polished. I opened the door, mouth crooked in half a smirk. Congratulations. Bye. Sophie's grin widened, she cooed past my shoulder. Oh, brother-in-law, you know her best. Chase slid from the shadows, fingers circling my wrist. Emery, Casey, and I came to take you home. Good Lord, could they be any more counterfeit? Just kidding, big sis. The man you love most? I'd never steal him. Sophie's fox eyes glinted. She tried to shoulder inside, I blocked like a bouncer. Enough with the improv troupe act. Baby, you're amazing, so big, so perfect. Casey, I love you. Should I keep narrating your dashboard concert, or do you two want to seal the deal yourselves? Their faces cycled through every shade of mortification. 12-inch, I might be gullible, but I'm not stupid. Quit polluting my oxygen. I slammed the door, heart drumming jazz. Pulled my phone, blacklisted every number they owned. Next morning Sophie was back, solo, looking like a sheet that had been slept on, crumpled, colorless. I was heading out to buy groceries, she lunged into the doorway. Morgan, you're really sick? I stepped back. With those hollow eyes she looked deader than me. Yep. Terminal. Satisfied? Her mouth opened, closed. Then her fingers clamped around my forearm. Who said you could die? You still owe me and my mom. You will stay alive and pay up. The last word cracked into a sob. I felt a hollow twinge. Once we'd braided friendship bracelets and shared popsicles. Before the fire, before the neighbors nudged her and Lillian into our house, sealing me inside a new, crueler story. She became the golden daughter, I became the curse. She slicked the bathroom tiles so I ruptured my Achilles and my dance career. She copied my handwriting to pen poison to my best friend. She told my favorite teacher I'd bought my prize essay. She whispered to Gerald daily. My real dad died saving her, but you gave us a home. Don't blame her for being born unlucky. Every scrap of affection that drifted my way, Sophie snuffed out with a flick of her quin. 13. I shook her off. Sophie, I know you're not done twisting the knife, but the show's over. I swallowed every piece of poison because Uncle Vance did die for me. Now I'm returning that life. Take it and walk away. A ragged laugh dribbled out of her. You're right, you're dying and I should be thrilled. I should be thrilled. She turned, chanting it like a broken prayer, and stumbled off. I carried my grocery basket downstairs and nearly walked into Cameron. Black hoodie, black Kian, lighter flipping open shut between idle fingers. I pivoted, speed walking the opposite direction. Morgan. His long legs overtook me before I reached the corner. I lifted a hand in a lame wave. Hey, fancy meeting you. Not coincidence. I came for you. His mouth curved up even while his eyes stayed cool. I paid everything, we're square. I sounded more defensive than I meant. You've got a persecution complex. The doctor wants you back for treatment. He rubbed his temple. I exhaled relief. Rowan, but no thanks. Hospitals and I are divorced. Still planning to walk into the tide? He cut straight to the bone. I was crafting a breezy deflection when a 50-something man in a suit stepped from the passenger side. Young master, Lee needs to brief you. Wait, what century is this? Cameron lifted the phone, voice iced. If they won't agree, I donate the whole trust. They get zero. I stared. So the guy who fished me from the surf is secretly loaded? His clothes screamed thrift rack, but that tone could freeze champagne. Makes sense. Only someone born untouchable steps into a stranger's nightmare without expecting payback. 14. Before my brain finished spiraling, Cameron tugged me toward the Cayenne. I bought the entire shoreline. Suicide by sea is temporarily out of service. Hospital first. When the doctors give up, I'll hand you the key to the waves. I was herded into buttersoft leather. The SUV glided forward. Let me out, this is kidnapping. He ignored my flailing and the vegetables rolling across the floor. The suit in front finally spoke. Taylor, our young master hasn't slept properly since he started searching for you. I glanced sideways. Cameron's lashes rested on his cheeks like black silk fans. Warm cabin, gentle sway, my eyelids sagged. When I jerked awake, we were parked under Seabrook portico. Cameron watched me, unreadable. Inside. Chemo starts today, 1 week and you're sprung. Still groggy, I blurted, afraid if I drown my dad will sue you? I'll leave a note absolving you. His voice stayed soft but carried steel. When you decide to walk into the tide, I won't stop you, but the calendar's lousy lately. Pick a luckier day. I clutched my aching stomach and laughed. Even suicide needs astrology now? Cute joke. Mock all you want. Bad timing equals reincarnation as a human again, your call. Oh, shut up, are you hexing me? Door's right there. I extended the lease on the beach, 2-month window. Choose wisely. He stepped out, coat flaring like dark wings, and strode through the sliding doors. And just like that, I was talked into it. The next rounds of chemo were agony. My hands and feet went numb, my throat burned with every swallow. I retched until my ribs ached, low-grade fevers came and went. Every single day felt like Anderson endless slow roast over a fire. During that stretch, Cameron hired a private nurse and vanished. I figured our paths had crossed for the last time. 15. On discharge day, I told myself the torture was finally over. I was humming while I crammed clothes into my duffel when I glanced up and saw Cameron in the doorway. I thought my eyes were playing tricks. Finish packing and come downstairs. The doctor says the tumor responded well, back in a month for the next cycle. My nose stung so sharply I couldn't tell whether to laugh or cry. I busied myself grabbing the plastic cup on the tray. Cameron, are you some reincarnated bodhisattva? Why are you this good to me? In my not very long life. The people who dislike me are countless, the ones who love me can be counted on one hand. That's why I'm so easily moved. My cheating ex bought me the limited edition plush I'd always wanted but never splurged on. Told me he'd love and treasure me forever, and I handed him my heart on a platter. No matter how many times he strayed, a few sugary sentences and I forgave him. 2 years later I accidentally saw Anderson old shopping text. Turned out the toy he bragged about cost $30 and was a knockoff. Cameron is the first person who, after hearing every ugly detail about my family, still treats me kindly. Morgan, I'm no bodhisattva. That night I was there to walk into the tide, too. Your showing up saved my life. Cameron's face stayed calm. But the words detonated like a depth charge dropped in still water. The shock wave nearly shattered me. So you bought the entire shoreline because you meant to drown on it? More or less. Jordan, we used to vacation here every year. After they were gone, I wanted to spend my last moments with them. I choked on my own spit and coughed hard. With your kind of money and free time, what could possibly be that hopeless? Something bottomless flickered in Cameron's eyes. Some problems money can't fix. I set the cup down and tried my best earnest pep talk. Still beats broke and busy. Plenty of people have it worse. Someone as decent and gorgeous as you deserves a future. His dark gaze settled on me. A faint tug at the corner of his mouth, but he said nothing more. 16. After I paid the hospital bill, my savings hit rock bottom. My sublet expired in a week. I was mentally calculating which friend's couch I could crash on when Cameron slung my backpack over his shoulder. "Come to my place, I need a favor," he threw over his shoulder, already walking. I trotted after him. This time the car was a Bugatti. We wound slowly up the coastal mountain road. Cameron's house sat alone at the summit. From the terrace the ocean curved like a silver blade in the distance. Inside, it was opulent yet restrained. A 3-story atrium, a chandelier the size of a small spaceship. Classic ink landscapes on the walls big enough to camp under. I felt like Grandma Lou the moment she steps into de Guanuani's everywhere at once. Before I could close my gaping mouth, Anderson Elegant Auntie rolled out a glass trolley. Stacked floor-to-roof with limited edition Disney plushies. My jaw unhinged. "This is your house? And these all yours?" "My house. The toys are my cousin's gifts, she wants you to babysit them." Seeing my hesitation, Cameron pouted. "Aren't people always saying stuffed animals have souls? Come on, help me out. There's security, housekeepers, a doctor on call, 24-hour protection for your health." Only then did I catch on. The tough guy with the soft center couldn't bear to watch me homeless. So he'd conjured this clumsy excuse. I let myself be coaxed. Since fate had parked a prickly sweetheart in my path right before the finish line, I decided to savor every extra minute. I slipped into a life where clothes appeared magically washed, meals arrived before I felt hunger. My numbers at weigh-in actually improved. I also noticed Cameron had no family under this roof. Besides Butler and the live-in staff, silence echoed. After I got chummy with the housekeeper, she spilled. Cameron wasn't merely rich. 30, orphaned, unmarried, no kids. Years ago he'd outmaneuvered scheming uncles and aunts and locked down Anderson inheritance measured not in millions but in 100 millions. And the unit is US dollars. The revelation gave me cold sweats. 17. Luckily Cameron was rarely home. One afternoon he texted that he wanted dinner together. I was unreasonably excited. But childhood beatings had trained me to read micro-emotions in a face. The instant he stepped through the door I knew his mood had cratered. He never spoke through the entire meal. Only the clink of porcelain broke the hush. The air pressure dropped so low I wanted to flee to the garden for oxygen. I inhaled half a bowl of rice and excused myself. I woke at 2 a.m. starving. Tiptoeing downstairs, I passed Cameron's room, the door ajar, a single floor lamp glowing. I was about to pull it shut when the scene inside froze me. Cameron sat on the carpet dragging a razor across his wrist. I lunged and grabbed his arm. "Cameron!" He thrashed shockingly strong. I couldn't hold him. Another crimson line opened. His left arm was already slick with blood, old scars crossing like railroad tracks. No wonder he always wore black long sleeves. Finally he surfaced from whatever nightmare had him. Sweat beading his temples, lips trembling too hard to speak. Eyes locked on a prescription bottle on the shelf. I scrambled for the vial, scanned the label, poured him water, fed him the pills. Little by little the tremor quieted, he slumped back on the sofa and slept. I studied the bottle, then Lifaxine, Milnacipran antidepressants. Next morning he greeted me cheerfully and left for work. As if the whole thing had been a mirage. I cornered Butler. At the photo of the pills on my phone he sighed. "Taylor, since you've seen it I won't hide it. The young master has clinical depression meds keep him stable. Between episodes he seems fine. When it hits he suffers vertigo, migraines. Some days he binges, some days he can't swallow a bite. At worst he harms himself. Yesterday was the anniversary of his family's death. 18. You all stand by while he cuts himself open? Look at his wrists. I blurted, voice cracking. Butler's own voice shook. How could we watch indifferently? I raised him. He's like my own child. But he's too well-mannered, he hides every ache from us. Taylor, I can see he's fond of you. Could you stay close? The boy has been exhausted for years. I nodded woodenly, a chill spreading through my chest. Cameron had told me he'd also come to walk into the tide. He hadn't lied. Some questions money can't answer. Also true. Because even blanketed in billions he can't purchase a healthy mind. Cameron, our story may not reach a happy ending, but I swear I'll make it mean something. I dove into every article on depression treatments. Dragged him outside under any pretext I could invent: sunset walks, morning tide pool hunts, patio breakfasts. He saw through me and laughed softly. Depression is just a modern bug. No need to treat it like alien possession. I take my pills, I'm fine. Worry about yourself, next month's chemo is coming. But you said you meant to drown. That was a joke, he drawled, brushing it off like lint. A few nights later I couldn't sleep and snuck in to check. I found him clothed in the bathtub, unconscious. This time the cut was deep. Blood dripped, dyeing the water scarlet. Fear flattened itself into cold clarity. I speed-dialed the house doctor. Roused every auntie in guard. Helped change his clothes. At dawn the doctor declared the danger past. My knees gave out, I collapsed into the chair. That night Butler told me the route. When Cameron was 13 his parents and older sister were massacred by home invaders. He'd survived only because he was at Anderson Aunt's house with his grandparents. He came home to find the people he loved most hacked beyond recognition. 19. Since that day he has not slept a single peaceful night. A few years ago his grandparents died in quick succession. He fought jealous uncles and aunts single-handedly. And in the end inherited every dollar they left. Yet all the money in the world has not pried him free of that 13-year-old darkness. Tears pooling, I fell asleep on the edge of his bed. Morgan. I answered, half dreaming. A few seconds later my brain jolted online. Cameron. You're awake. Does anything hurt? I clutched his arm, inspecting it front and back, ready to scream for the doctor. Cameron stopped me. Morgan, don't fetch anyone yet. I need to talk to you. I don't know how much you've pieced together. But you've dragged me back twice. I figure I owe you the whole story. Colorless lips, ghost of a smile. Yet a spark flickered in his eyes. The day my family died, I felt as if I'd been locked in a pitch-black room I could never escape. After Grandma and Grandpa passed, and after I watched the people I once called brothers tear one another apart, my depressive episodes came faster, harder. The world meant nothing to me. I only wanted to hide. I grabbed his ice-cold hand and shook my head fiercely. How can you say it means nothing? You still have all that money you haven't spent. Dying now would be such a rip-off. Cameron laced his fingers through mine. So isn't it pitiful? I inherited a fortune big enough to buy cities, and lost every desire to enjoy it. Every time I dragged a razor across my skin it felt like bleeding out the pain I couldn't speak. The sting meant a moment's freedom. And then? I asked, already guessing where he was headed. Every nerve in my body bristled like a hedgehog, stabbing me awake with pain. So, we're the same, he whispered. We've each lost the one thing a person needs to stay alive. All we can do is walk toward death and call it living. Don't say that. I squeezed his knuckles. We've lost our birth families, sure, but we can still choose, can't we? I choose you. You choose me. Deal? Our pinkies hooked, our thumbs sealed it. 100 years, no takebacks. From that day on Cameron stopped fighting his doctors. The meds finally started to work. While he stabilized I went through 2 more chemo rounds. At last the long winter ended. Though my hair didn't survive it. I still needed a hat before I dared walk outside. Cameron bought me dozens of fuzzy bunny ear beanies. He christened them my scalp security. But the cancer refused to call a truce. Stomach cramps came more often, morphine dosages crept higher. My skin yellowed, and sleep hijacked entire afternoons. Reclining on the balcony chaise, I murmured. This disease is a thug turning me into a bald, jaundiced housewife caricature. He closed his book and tugged one floppy ear. Even a jaundiced housewife is gorgeous. I scrunched my nose. Getting smoother every day, aren't we? Not that I mind. Sweet talkland's wives, you know. Most girls love a honeyed tongue. Add rich and handsome to the equation and you're catnip. My rabbit ears wagged with enthusiasm. Cameron's face clouded. Mention marrying me off and you light up like a parade. Morgan, let's try the new targeted therapy next. If it fails, we walk into the tide together. He knelt beside the chair, holding my hand, utterly earnest. Cameron, have you lost it? I shoved him away so hard the effort rattled my ribs. Call me crazy. Morgan, I once read a line. If meeting someone already feels like rehearsing her goodbye, then you've fallen, irreversibly, terrifyingly deep. I felt that the first second I saw you. But I refused to say goodbye. Blood red rimmed his eyes, his grip trembled. I looked down at his long fingers and inhaled. Cameron, my mother picked my name while I was still inside her. She wanted me happy. She forgot the character for blessing is the same one for misfortune. I thought I'd spend my life proving the second meaning. Turns out I got lucky enough to meet you, to taste joy before the curtain. So people really do need hope, don't they? See, love is the moment shame crawls toward light. You showed me nothing is undeserved, nothing is impossible. I am worthy of being loved. I left the words unspoken, but I know he heard them. He gathered himself and pinned me with steady eyes. You said it we're a family we chose. Whatever you throw at me, my decision stands. Stubborn man. I sighed and switched topics. Since you care so much, can I ask a favor? No more hospitals. Let me pig out in your mansion until I fade, okay? He looked away, silent his way of surrendering. Days slid by, orderly and calm. Butler said the apricots on the lower slope were blooming. I tugged Cameron's sleeve, begging to see them. The car had barely cleared the gate when the driver slammed the brakes. Cameron pulled me against his chest. Before I could ask, Gerald's voice barked outside. Morgan finally found you. I stepped out, wrapped in Anderson oversized cashmere shawl, skinny as a child. My sweet girl, nothing but skin and bones. That Cameron starving you? My stomach lurched, I tasted bile. You don't get to badmouth Cameron. Move. Suddenly he was crying. Emery, Dad's sorry. I was blind. Never knew you filled the holes I kept digging. Had to see the collector's itemized bill to learn how deep I was in. I folded my arms and laughed cold. Yeah, easy to pawn my ID for loans when you never think who repays. Daddy was wrong. Lillian dragged me to those tables, swore we'd win. My nest egg gone. She and Casey skipped town the second it dried up. Hatred flashed in his eyes. Turned out Lillian had wrung him dry, then vanished with Sophie, leaving him alone. Only then did he remember he still had a dying daughter. I clapped slowly. Karma, Gerald. Stay out of my life. He sobbed but stepped aside. Yet I knew, leopards don't swap spots. Gerald would be back. Following my advice, Cameron upgraded the villa's security. If Gerald showed within 500 yards, guards were to haul him off. Under Cameron's clockwork care my routine stayed steady, my mind quiet. Still, the elephant in the room grew, my life was trickling away. Afternoons dissolved into naps, fatigue smothered me like fog. Cameron's birthday arrived in May. That morning I felt almost alive. I wore my favorite dress, chose his cake, sang off-key. Cameron, will you take me to the beach? He smiled, but darkness pooled in his gaze. He wrapped me in thick coats and carried me down the trail. Twilight gathered, the ocean sulked, indifferent to human grief. Star points scattered across the water like the sea's own eyes, wide open while the earth slept. We settled on a flat rock. "You're so light your bones dig into me," he whispered. "Promise you'll eat more." I grinned faintly. "Eat too much and you won't be able to lift me. I'll always lift you until we're too old to walk." A tear splashed onto my cheek. I lacked strength even to return a smile. I brushed his face. "Don't cry, Cameron. Parting isn't the monster you think. When we oxidize into atoms we'll be two specks cuddled under the same streetlight. Atoms don't vanish, we'll end up together." Speaking those sentences drained me, my arm dropped like a broken branch. He crushed me to his chest, as though he could graft me into his bones. "Morgan, don't leave alone." We agreed together. Rising, he carried me toward the tide. Rain poured, the lighthouse beam flickered, washing every tear from our faces. Above the surf a last murmur echoed, "All right together. 100 years, no take-backs."